Financial Modeling, Topic 4, Section 3. In this topic, we're going to construct the capital allocation line B, which is the borrowing capital allocation line that combines borrowing and one of the envelope portfolios. So in the last topic, we had a risk-free rate of 2%. We combined it with an envelope portfolio that is a tangency, and we said we combine these assets, this risky asset, with risk-free borrowing and get along this line. Now, if we have a borrowing rate, in this case above the RF, which it should be, we can combine this portfolio with a tangency, and we can get along any line up here. So this represents combining borrowing with the optimal borrowing portfolio to leverage your returns and leverage your risk. So let's go to the spreadsheet and we're going to find that portfolio. So notice I have a section here, B sharp. That B sharp formula is going to be the portfolio mean minus RB, which is 5.5%, divided by portfolio vol. I'll then run solver, and I'm going to maximize B sharp. B sharp, again, is that cell right there in F8. So I'll solve, hit OK. Looks like that portfolio is about 5% SPY, 25% EFA, 69.8% EMA. Gives me a sharp of 0.0918. I'll copy that portfolio and I'll put it right here, Alt HVV. And there is the volatility, expected return, and the weights in SPY, EFA, and EMA for that optimal borrowing portfolio. Now let's go to our graph. I want to add RB to our graph. So I'm going to select the graph, right click, select data, add. I'm going to put the name RB with the X value. Remember, standard deviation is X value. It has a X value of 0 and a Y value of 5.5%. So there is my RB. So what I'm really trying to do here, let me just draw for a second. I'm going to insert a shape, make that a line. So I want a line that's going to go out from RB, find a tangency to the envelope, which is right around here. If I draw this very precisely, looks like it's right around here. However, I cannot get to this part of this line because I can't invest risk-free. I can only invest, I can't invest risk at RB. I can only invest at RF. So I can't get to this part of the line. So what I just need to actually show is this part of the line. This is going to represent leveraging this special portfolio, which maximizes that sharp from RB. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to just magically make up a point. I shouldn't say magically, but I'll just arbitrarily make up a point out here and say, what if we have a portfolio that's 150% invested in this envelope portfolio, this tangency? So in other words, if I had $100 in my pocket and I wanted to invest it in this portfolio, but I wanted to get higher returns and volatility than this portfolio, I could borrow, say, $50 at 5.5%. So now I have $150, and I want to put $150 in this portfolio. Well, that portfolio is going to give me 150% of the volatility, 1.5 times the volatility. Again, if I had $100, I borrow $50 and put $150 in this portfolio. That means 150% of my money is invested in this portfolio. It's going to give me 150% of the volatility. It'll also give me 150% of the expected return minus 50% is going to be borrowed at 5.5%. So it's going to give me 150% of the return. However, my finance charge there, my borrowing charge, is going to be 50% of my money is borrowed at RB. So that portfolio that's 150% leveraged OBP is going to be 31.63% vol, 8.4% return. that portfolio is going to be 150% invested in this portfolio above. So it's going to be 150% of the weights in SPY, EFA, and EMA. Notice I summed up the three weights. The weights of my money that is invested in SPY, EFA, and EMA sum up to 150%. However, remember I borrowed 50% of the money. So when I sum up the weights of these three, 150 minus my RB, notice the sum of the weights still add up to 100%. So now what I like to do is then just graph this portfolio. Actually, the line that extends from this point right here and then goes outward. Let's see also if it's pretty close to the one I drew. So I'm going to click on my data, right click, select data. I'm going to add, I'll give it a name, this CAL-B. The two X variables are going to be my two vols. My two Y variables are going to be my two returns. Notice I don't include the first one because I can't get to that section of the curve or the line. And there it is. This is my portfolio. Let me see if I can change the color. Well, couldn't do that. But if you could see this green on your screen, it's a line that extends from this portfolio right here and goes out 150% of that level of volatility. So in this topic, we have constructed a capital allocation line B, which is the line that extends from the optimal borrowing portfolio to some leverage point beyond. In the next topic, we'll determine how to construct your optimal or determine the location of your optimal portfolio.